All right, today we're going to go over some cross sections, and I am going to look at them by using Play-Doh. So the first one is a cylinder. We're going to look at the cross section of a cylinder. And we've got two types. I know it's hard to read, but we're looking at the horizontal and the vertical. So let's draw this real quick. Remember, horizontal, you can think of the horizon. It's like the x-axis if you were looking at an x and y plane. So horizontal would be like cutting the cylinder in half this direction. The vertical, if you think your vertical is how high you jump, vertical is up and down. So that would be cutting the cylinder in this direction. So let's go ahead and cut it and see what we come up with. So I'm going to take my cylinder here. I've made a cylinder out of Play-Doh, and I'm going to cut it. I'm first going to cut it across. So the horizontal cross section. So I'm going to do this here, and we'll see what 2D shape is created. So let's see. So I've cut the cross section here. And so what is the 2D shape? That looks like a circle. So if you cut a cylinder horizontally, the cross section, the 2D shape that is created, is a circle. We see that right here. All right, now let's cut the cylinder vertically. So here we go. I'm going to take this and I'm going to use my floss here to cut vertically up and down. And we'll see what shape we have. Let's see as I pull this apart. All right, so what is this shape? And now it looks a little bit square just because of the size of my cylinder, but realistically, because our cylinders can vary in heights, this creates a rectangular shape. So this is a rectangle. Now again, remember, a square is a rectangle. So if yours looks a little bit square, that's okay, but it makes a rectangle. So there's a rectangle. All right, so we had, just to reiterate, horizontal was a circle, vertical was a rectangle. All right, we're going to move on to the next one, which is a cone. So here we go. I've got my cone shape. And again, we are going to cut it both horizontal and vertical. So remember, horizontal is this direction and vertical is this direction. Now it's important when you do vertical of a shape like a cone or a pyramid, your vertical cut has to go through the tip of that shape. So this one has to go straight through the middle. When you make a horizontal or a vertical cut for like a cylinder, it could go a little bit more left, a little bit more right. This one could be higher or lower, but if it's a cone, it has to go through this point, which is actually called the apex of the cone. So we have to make sure we cut through that point. I'm going to start with my horizontal cross section. So I'm going to cut it horizontally. Get that blue Play-Doh out of here. All right, here we go. And I'm just going to cut close to the bottom. You could cut a little bit higher if you wanted. Make your predictions now. What do you think it's going to be? Let's see. Okay, here is my cross section. What shape is that? That looks like a circle. So here for the horizontal, this is a circle. It's interesting how both cylinder and cone both had that circular shape. Notice the base of both of them, their bases are circles. So actually the base matches the horizontal cross section here. All right, let's try the vertical cross section of the cone. So I'm going to cut, remember, through the apex right here. It's a little bit harder to do. All right, and let's see what shape we've got. And look at that. We have cut a triangle. This is the 2D triangle shape. So when we cut the cone vertically, it creates a triangle. All right, the next one we're going to do is the sphere. So again, we're going to do the horizontal cut and the vertical cut. This is a little bit weird because a sphere doesn't really have a base, right? I could turn it any way and it always looks the same. So actually the horizontal and vertical cuts, they might end up the same. Let's try this first one here. If I were to cut, well, we'll call this horizontal. So horizontal. And what shape do we think it's going to be? Oh, a circle. Okay, so that one is a circle. And now I'm going to have to piece back together. I'm going to cut the other direction now. So before I cut this way, now I'm going to cut this way. And we'll see what we get here. And another circle. So the sphere, whichever way you cut it, is a circular cross section. Awesome. Now our last one is a square-based pyramid. Make your predictions now. What do you think the horizontal cross section will be? Then we are going to do the vertical as well. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be a square because remember we said the base matches that horizontal cross section. So because it's square based, that's what I think is going to happen. But let's check it out. So here is my square based pyramid. There's my square base. And I'm going to cut it first horizontally. So I'm going to put it sideways. Ooh, this is hard to cut. Cut horizontally. And let's see what shape we've got. So here we go. There's my cut. And it is a square, just like we thought. It happened to be a square. So the square-based pyramid, horizontal cross-section is, in fact, a square. Maybe you want to write this, because remember, this has to be a square. This one up here was just the rectangle, even though ours looked like a square. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm clear here when I go back to read my notes. All right, let me piece back together our little pyramid here, and now I'm going to do the vertical, making sure I go through the very top of the pyramid. All right, and let's see what shape we've got now. It is a triangle. Awesome. So the vertical cross section of this is a triangle. Now, a vase is not really a shape that's easy to make. I could kind of put together a shape, but hopefully by now you're starting to see where these cross sections are coming from and could theoretically cut this vase in your head and see what you think the cross sections might be. So if I look at a vase, I notice that in this vase, it looks like it probably has a circular base. And remember, we've been saying that if I cut this horizontally, that horizontal cross section should match the base. So I'm going to say for this one, that's got to be a circle. Now for a vertical cross section, so far all of our vertical cross sections have kind of matched the shape of, like if you kind of like, I don't know, trace this kind of looks like a rectangle. This slightly looks like a triangle, a circle. I could see how this is a triangle. But if I were to trace the vase, it would be essentially like this vase shape. So I think the cross section here is going to be the same shape as the base, just in 2D. Now, I did create a semi-vase. I know it looks really bad, so, you know, don't judge me. But I will try and see what cross section we get. So let's check out this horizontal first. I'm going to cut right here. And we've got, oh, yep, a circle, just like we thought. All right, I'm going to piece back my poorly made vase together. Don't ever ask me to make you some pottery because this is as good as it's going to get. And I'm going to cut to the vertical. Now remember, this is what my vase looked like. And here, that's what the cross section looks like. So it really should look a little bit more vase-like, but kind of like what we had drawn here, just the shape of the vase itself.